December 2011, New York City.
Oh, man, what a time.
Right. So you are standing in the shadows just off the stage of Studio 8H in Rockefeller Center.
The absolute heart of live television.
Exactly. The smell of sawdust, hot lighting gels, and, just aerosol hairspray hangs incredibly thick in the air.
I can literally picture it.
It is the middle of a live broadcast of Saturday Night Live. And the atmosphere is electric. It's humming with that very specific, terrifying tension that is totally unique to live TV.
Because there's no safety net.
Mm-hmm.
If you mess up, millions of people see it instantly.
Right. And out under the blinding studio lights stands Noah Drew. He's an Oscar-nominated actor, currently looking just stunningly, painfully gaunt from a recent movie role where he played a hitman.
He's practically a skeleton at this point.
Yeah, and he is supposed to be delivering his very first cold open. He's standing right on home base. The studio audience is completely hushed, just hanging on his every word.
The pressure must be unimaginable.
The cue card guys are leaning in. The massive pedestal cameras are rolling, broadcasting to all these living rooms across the country. And then he just stops.
Just completely freezes.
He stops looking at the camera lens. He stops looking at the audience. He looks past the incredibly bright lights, piercing straight into the dark wings of the stage.
Oh, wow.
He's looking right at a young woman in a faded green t-shirt and thick glasses. She's a writer for the show. Her name is A.J. Graves.
And this is where it all goes off the rails.
Completely. Right there, on live national television, breaking the absolute cardinal rule of SNL, Noah Drew goes completely off script.
Lorne Michaels must be having a heart attack.
Oh, I'm sure. He looks at this writer, who, by the way, happens to be his former co-star from this janky, long-canceled cult sci-fi show they did together years ago, and he calls out to her.
Using her real name.
No, he uses her character's name from that Dead show. He just says, Anatar.
That is wild.
Time inside Studio 8H basically ceases to exist. The crew panics. The crane operator looks at the director in the booth, totally confused.
Because they have no idea what's happening.
Right. The silence is deafening because everyone in that room knows he isn't just saying a sci-fi character's name. The subtext is screaming at top volume. He is basically saying, come back to me.
It is the ultimate, heart-stopping, incredibly public declaration. I mean, it's huge.
It really is.
And it serves as the perfect inciting incident for the deep dive we are taking today into the source material you brought us.
Yes. Emma Brodie's novel, Into the Blue.
Right. And we are skipping any kind of shallow introduction today. We're diving straight into this sweeping, timeline-jumping summary.
Straight into the deep end.
Exactly. Because on its surface, this text really masquerades as a glossy Hollywood romance. But if you look closely at the mechanics of the story, it is actually a profound, agonizing exploration of terminal illness.
And the really heavy burden of choice.
Yes. And the glorious, often catastrophic collision between art, fandom, and our real lives.
That collision is exactly what we are going to tear apart today. We are going to explore the core tension of this entire narrative.
It's a heavy one.
It is. I want you, the listener, to keep this question in the back of your mind as we go through this today.
It's like hypothetical.
Right. If you knew the exact tragic expiration date of the greatest love of your life, would you walk away early to save them from the pain of watching you decline?
Or would you dive in anyway, knowing the crash is completely inevitable?
It's a paralyzing question, and it haunts every single interaction between A.J. Graves and Noah Drew.
But, to truly understand the psychology of how two people end up communicating via secret codes on live television, we have to rewind the tape significantly.
Way back.
Yeah, we have to go back to the year 2000 to a blue-collar town called Gladstone, Massachusetts. We need to look at the strange, inescapable gravity of a retired acting legend named Eudora Drew.
Right, because long before Noah was a movie star, there was Eudora. She is the grand dame, the total matriarch of the Drew acting dynasty.
She's a legend.
In this small town of Gladstone, she's basically a mythic figure. She speeds around the local streets in a boxy red Bentley, and she teaches something she calls the cosmic consciousness of acting.
Which sounds so intensely theatrical.
Totally. But for A.J. Graves, who's just a kid growing up in the exact same town, Eudora isn't a mentor. She is essentially a ghost.
A.J. has grown up completely aware of her, but has never actually seen her in person.
Exactly. Never laid eyes on her.
Which really functions as a brilliant narrative framework in the text. I mean, A.J. actually connects Eudora to the literary concept of an unseen character.
Like Rosaline in Romeo and Juliet.
Precisely.
Right.
We all know the play is about Romeo and Juliet, but Juliet isn't the reason Romeo goes to the Capulet party in the first place. He goes to see Rosaline.
Oh, right. I always forget that.
Yeah, Rosaline drives the entire early plot. She dictates Romeo's emotional state, yet she never actually steps onto the stage.
That makes so much sense.
Right. And Eudora functions the exact same way in AJ's early life. She is this powerful, unseen gravitational force shaping AJ's trajectory from the shadows.
And to be fair, AJ's early life desperately needs some kind of guiding force because her day-to-day reality is pure chaos.
It sounds incredibly stressful.
It is. She is one of 6 kids crammed into a tiny split-level house, and her father has a severe drinking problem.
Oof, that's rough.
There's this incredibly vivid, visceral anecdote from the source material set in 1993. It's Halloween. AJ is 10 years old.
Okay, setting the scene.
Her dad, in a drunken mood, has declared Halloween a waste of money and straight up refuses to buy costumes.
That is so sad for a 10-year-old.
But AJ is ferociously determined to participate. Why? Because the rumor around school is that Eudora Drew is scheduled to hand out the prize for the costume contest.
Ah, so this is her chance.
Yes. This is AJ's one chance to finally look the legend in the eye, so she decides to make her own costume.
What does she go as?
She wants to be Pippi Longstocking. And to achieve those iconic gravity-defying braids, this little girl literally forces a stiff wire coat hanger onto her scalp.
Wait, what? A wire hanger?
Yes. She weaves her reddish hair around the metal. The text describes how much it physically hurts just digging into her skin all day.
That sounds agonizing.
It tells you everything you need to know about AJ's grit and, more importantly, her utter desperation to escape her grim reality and touch this world of make-believe that Eudora represents.
And this is the heartbreaking part, Eudora doesn't even show up, does she?
No. Instead of this glamorous acting legend, some terrifying, hulking high school kid wearing a bloody Jason Voorhees mask steps out of the gymnasium shadows.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's the one who hands AJ the best DIY trophy. And little 10-year-old AJ is so startled and exhausted that she shrieks in terror in front of the entire elementary school.
That is mortifying.
The wire hanger is digging into her head, she's crying, and she earns the merciless nickname Pippi Longstocking for the rest of the year.
Pippi Longstocking.
Yeah.
Kids are so mean.
Right. It's a funny visual, but it's a crushing, humiliating disappointment. Eudora remains unseen. The magic remains totally out of reach.
But that disappointment sort of forces AJ to find magic elsewhere, right?
Yes, exactly.
And the connection to the Drew family legacy deepens a year later during a massive New England nor'easter. The whole Graves family is snowed in.
Being trapped in a house with a volatile alcoholic sounds terrifying.
The tension is unbearable. AJ's dad has already loaded a fresh case of Budweiser into the fridge by 9:00 a.m.
Oh, man.
AJ is terrified because she remembers the last time they were trapped inside by snow. It ended with a violent, drunken tirade, and her older brother Patrick took the physical brunt of it.
So she's just waiting for the explosion.
Exactly. But this time, the tension is diffused by a television marathon. A local channel is running back-to-back episodes of a 1964 cult sci-fi show called Astronauticals.
Astronauticals is the perfect 1960s camp escape. It is this janky, incredibly low-budget show about a group of hippie space pirates traveling through the stars.
I love that aesthetic so much.
It gets better. Their ship, it's inside the hump of a giant cosmic space whale.
A space whale. That is peak pulp sci-fi.
It's ridiculous. But the co-star of the show, playing the go-go boot-wearing alien pilot named Glimmet, is none other than a young, gorgeous Eudora Drew.
The unseen mentor finally appears. On screen, at least.
Right. And for AJ, this television show acts as a literal psychological buffer against the trauma of her household. When the TV is on, her dad is quiet.
The fictional universe creates a safe container for her.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because AJ desperately wants the safety of being behind the camera later in life, but acting opposite Noah is what makes her feel most alive. Is fiction sometimes the only place we allow ourselves to tell the truth?
That is such a good way to frame it. Because that concept, the idea of a heavily constructed fictional sci-fi universe acting as a protective shield against real-world pain, is the foundational motif of AJ's entire psychological profile.
It's where she feels secure.
Exactly. If she can control the narrative, she can control the pain. Which perfectly explains her career choice when we fast forward to the year 2007.
Right, AJ is now 24 years old.
And she has entirely left acting behind. She wants nothing to do with being vulnerable on a stage.
There's trauma associated with it.
Right. Instead, she has clawed her way into a job as a producer and writer on a brand new, extremely low-budget network sci-fi show called Into the Blue.
And the premise is explicitly a spiritual successor to astronauticals, right?
Yes. The crew is literally filming on a set that is supposed to be the inside of a radioactive super rat, which the characters lovingly refer to as a space whale, named the Gillamede.
The world building is just the height of sci-fi absurdity.
Totally. In the original show, you had characters with names like Captain Winslow Shoe. Now, AJ is writing characters named Zora and Dr. Iris. It's pure, unadulterated pulp.
And AJ thrives in this environment because she is perfectly happy being behind the camera.
She gets to write the scripts. She gets to be the unseen creator. She has essentially become the Rosaline. She has become Eudora.
She thinks she's safe. But then, the network casts the lead role of the ship's captain, Ro.
And enter Noah Drew.
Exactly. The actor who walks into the audition room is Noah Drew, Eudora's grandnephew. He is 6'3", incredibly handsome, and he carries this intense, brooding, dark energy.
He is a powerhouse.
The text makes it clear that from the absolute second he walks into the room, there is a gravitational pull to him that AJ cannot escape, no matter how hard she tries to hide behind her clipboard.
What's fascinating here is how the lines between creator and creation start to blur. And we have to talk about the power dynamics on this set, because they are incredibly predatory, specifically from the showrunner, a man named Ian Fleming.
Ian sounds like a nightmare to work for.
He is. Ian isn't just managing a production, he's a psychological manipulator. He immediately recognizes the raw, crackling chemistry between AJ, the writer, and Noah, the lead actor.
And he decides to exploit it.
Exactly. Rather than protecting his staff, Ian weaponizes that tension for the benefit of the show's ratings. AJ is vehemently opposed to acting. She tells Ian repeatedly, "I just want to write."
But he doesn't listen.
No, he basically corners her. He manipulates the production schedule to force her into stepping in front of the camera to play an alien named Anna Tar, directly opposite Noah's character, Ro.
AJ fights this tooth and nail. I mean, at the initial cast read-through, she literally keeps her head down, staring at the script, refusing to even make eye contact with Noah.
Classic avoidance strategy.
She figures if she just ignores the pull, it will dissipate. But Ian forces the issue during the filming of episode 4, an episode titled Asleep.
He sets a trap.
He does. Ian intentionally sends AJ on a fake errand across the massive studio lot. While she's gone, he briefs the rest of the cast on what he wants them to do.
So sneaky.
When AJ finally walks back onto the soundstage, the heavy studio doors close behind her, and the set lights instantly shift from yellow to a deep oceanic blue.
The premise of this specific episode is wonderfully, ridiculously sci-fi. The space whale they live inside has been bitten by Endymion gnats, which causes the entire crew to fall into a deep, unbreakable stasis sleep.
So convenient.
Right. The only two people awake on the entire ship are Anna and Ro. This is the precise moment where the firm lines between the creators and the creation completely dissolve.
It's an incredible scene to read. AJ walks onto the blue-lit set, furious that she's been tricked. She is physically shaking with anger and fear.
And Noah's just waiting for her.
Noah is standing behind the prop bars of the ship's brig. He looks at her, drops his character's voice entirely, and says, "Let me out of here, I can help you." He promises he won't hurt her.
Wow.
And AJ, standing there in the text, has this massive internal realization. She has spent her entire life fighting to suppress the part of herself that used to play, the part that wanted to be an actor, because she associates vulnerability with the trauma of her childhood.
That fear of the unpredictable.
Right. But in that moment, staring at Noah, she realizes that doing the correct thing, staying safe behind the camera, isn't always the right thing to do with your life.
So she reaches out and opens the cell.
Yes.
And we have to look at the symbolism there. By physically opening that prop cell door for the character of Ro, she is psychologically opening the door to Noah Drew.
It's a massive breakthrough.
The fictional scenario of the television script provides the exact psychological permission she needs. They're pretending to be aliens trapped inside a space whale, but the emotions they're exchanging, the tension in their voices, that is entirely primal and entirely real.
They're using the script as a shield.
Exactly. Fiction becomes the only safe container where they are allowed to tell the absolute truth to one another without the terrifying stakes of real life.
Which directly leads to the climax of their on-screen chemistry, an episode called Horses. They are filming this breathless scene on a freezing, completely windswept beach in Malibu, pretending it's an alien planet.
Malibu in winter is surprisingly cold.
Oh, definitely. Noah's character, Ro, has just sacrificed himself to save Anna. He is lying totally inert on the freezing wet sand, surrounded by extras playing naval guards.
It's very dramatic.
The director calls action, and Anna runs into the frame. A.J. Graves is genuinely physically trying to drag Noah's massive deadweight body out of the ocean surf, and she can't do it.
Because he's a huge guy.
Right, she is grunting, straining her muscles, and when she realizes she can't move him, that he isn't breathing, she lets out this guttural howl.
And the text frames our understanding of this scene through a really interesting perspective, an unpaid editing intern named Todd Gould.
Poor Todd.
Todd is sitting thousands of miles away in a freezing padded editing bay in New York City, logging hours and hours of raw tape.
Yeah.
Todd hears this howl come through his headphone.
And he recognizes the weight of it.
He recognizes the texture of it, yeah. He compares it in his notes to the exact sound his own father made at his grandfather's funeral.
Oh man, that is heavy.
Todd realizes this is not a trained actor projecting an emotion. It is the sound of bone-chilling, primal grief. A.J. Graves isn't acting. She is confronting the terrifying real-world concept of what it would mean to lose Noah Drew.
And then the script dictates that Rose sits up, he's alive, they embrace in the surf.
A huge relief.
The text describes how Noah's thumb traces AJ's jawbone, wiping away real tears, and then he pulls her in for a kiss.
The famous kiss.
And Todd, the intern, sitting alone in that dark editing bay, types into his daily log that the kiss annihilated him.
That phrasing is incredible.
It was a single, devastating kiss that was simultaneously destroying their professional boundaries and giving them life. That is the sheer magnitude of the connection we're talking about.
Undeniable.
It is undeniable. It is captured on 35mm film, and against all odds, this janky network show starts gaining a massive, obsessive cult following because the audience can literally feel the heat radiating through their television screens.
They are standing on the precipice of everything they have ever wanted. I mean, the show is getting picked up for a full back-end order of episodes.
Everything's going right.
They have finally admitted their feelings for each other. The chemistry is singular. And then, just as their universe seems to be expanding into infinite possibilities, the brutal reality of the physical world crashes in and collapses the entire timeline.
The ticking clock is introduced. And it doesn't happen on a soundstage. It happens in the quiet, devastating reality of a private conversation.
The turning point of the whole story.
Noah drops a revelation that completely shatters the foundation of the life AJ thought she was building. He has been hiding a secret. Noah Drew has Huntington's disease.
The source material is completely unflinching when it comes to the brutal biological reality of this diagnosis.
It doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Not at all. Noah explains the mechanics of it to AJ with a terrifying calmness. Huntington's disease is a rare, hereditary, progressive neurodegenerative disorder. It affects roughly 3 in every 100,000 people.
So it's incredibly rare.
Very rare. Biologically, it's caused by a mutation in the Huntington gene. Specifically, there is a DNA sequence, cytosine, adenine, guanine, or CAG, that repeats far more times than it should.
And that repetition is what causes the damage.
Right. It causes a protein to misfold and gradually destroy the neurons in the brain. Noah describes the eventual outcome to AJ as a nightmarish combination of ALS, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's.
That sounds absolutely horrific.
You lose physical control, your body begins to writhe involuntarily, you lose your cognitive function, your memory, your personality.
Right.
And it is 100% fatal.
There's no cure.
There is no cure. And it is the exact same disease that slowly, agonizingly killed his mother.
The word inescapable comes to mind, and the timing of when he discovers this is like some kind of cosmic cruelty.
The worst possible timing.
Noah explains that his mother was adopted, so their family had absolutely zero knowledge of this genetic history. It came completely out of nowhere.
So they couldn't even prepare for it.
When she was finally diagnosed, Noah, as her biological child, was given the option to take a predictive blood test. Huntington's is an autosomal dominant disorder.
Meaning a 50-50 chance.
That means if one parent has it, you have a 50-50 coin flip of inheriting the mutated gene. Noah took the test the summer they were filming Into the Blue. He found out he lost the coin flip right as his romance with AJ was reaching its absolute peak.
Just devastating.
In fact, he received the diagnosis on the exact same day they were scheduled to do a fan convention together. He tells her he doesn't even remember driving his car to the convention center.
Yeah.
He was so numb, completely disassociated.
I can't even imagine that car ride.
He just knew he had to get there to see her face.
The psychological weight of carrying that knowledge is almost impossible to quantify. I mean, the text is using Noah's situation to explore the profound, double-edged sword of modern genetic testing.
We always hear knowledge is power.
Right. We are constantly told that knowledge is power. But in the case of a disease like Huntington's, where there is absolutely no preventative treatment. It is simply the knowledge of an inescapable, horrific fate.
A ticking time bomb.
It is a death sentence with an unknown execution date. Noah's rationale for taking the test is chillingly pragmatic. He looks at AJ and says, if you're going to die, it's better to know.
But wait, he didn't just find out and sit with the information. He took immediate, drastic, unilateral action.
He did.
He confesses to AJ that when he was 22 years old, years before he ever walked into the audition room for Into the Blue, he got a vasectomy.
At 22.
Let that sink in. He looked at his own DNA, knowing the 50-50 risk he carried before even taking the predictive test, and he decided, I am taking this particular strain of the disease with me when I die.
That is an incredibly profound, terrifyingly mature, and deeply traumatic decision for a kid to make.
It illustrates exactly how deeply scarred he is by watching his mother suffer. He essentially sterilized his own future out of fear.
Because he views his own future not as an open landscape of opportunity, but as a guaranteed decaying burden. He has watched the horrors of this disease firsthand.
He knows exactly what's coming.
He knows intimately what the physical decay looks like, the smell of the hospital rooms, the loss of bodily autonomy, the total erasure of dignity. And he looks at AJ, this vibrant, brilliant, fiercely alive woman that he's deeply in love with, and he makes a unilateral decision.
To leave her.
He decides that the ultimate act of love isn't to stay with her, but to walk away. He tells her, I can never burden another person with this.
That just breaks my heart.
He insists that she deserves a normal life, a husband who will grow old with her, and a biological family, things which he literally, physically cannot give her.
The visceral reaction AJ has in the text is so painful to read. When he tells her about the vasectomy, that is the specific detail that makes the invisible disease suddenly real for her.
And it makes it concrete.
She feels the oxygen physically drain from the room. The narrative describes her realization that the ash inside him is the extinguished hope for his own possibilities.
What a metaphor.
And the tragic irony is that he is sitting right in front of her, 6'3", incredibly handsome, in absolute peak physical condition. He is the literal picture of youth, vitality, and strength.
He looks like a god.
Yet she is being forced to reconcile this godlike physical exterior with the microscopic genetic time bomb that is silently ticking away inside his cells.
Noah is entirely driven by trauma here. His past trauma makes him terrified of becoming the monster in AJ's future. He doesn't want her lasting memory of him to be a hollowed-out, thrashing shell in a hospice bed.
He wants to protect her.
He is trying to preemptively save her from the exact grief that destroyed him during his mother's decline.
Okay, stop right there. I have to push back hard on Noah's nobility here.
Oh, laid on me.
Because the book presents his perspective, but I find it infuriating. He frames his departure as the supremely selfless, heroic act. He is the tragic knight falling on his sword to save the princess.
That's certainly how he views it.
But let's look at the mechanics of what he's actually doing. Imagine AJ and Noah are both flying in this incredibly beautiful, high-altitude airplane. Noah checks the instruments and realizes the plane has a fatal mechanical failure and will eventually, inevitably crash.
Okay, following the analogy.
So what does he do? Instead of holding her hand, telling her the truth, and bracing for impact together, he just opens the side door and shoves AJ out of the plane without a parachute. He genuinely thinks he's saving her from the pain of the crash, but what he's actually doing is robbing her of the agency to decide for herself if the beautiful ride was worth the eventual impact.
That's a really sharp critique.
He is infantilizing her. He's deciding what she is and is not capable of handling.
That is an incredibly sharp analysis, and you're absolutely right to challenge the hero complex narrative. It is a profound usurpation of her personal agency, wrapped up in the guise of male protection.
It's patronizing, honestly.
He is making a unilateral decision about a shared timeline. However, to understand the text fully, we must also validate the sheer, blinding terror that drives his decision.
True, he is terrified.
Terminal illness is arguably the most isolating experience a human being can endure. When you are the one holding the diagnosis, you are suddenly standing on a tiny, shrinking island, watching the mainland of the healthy world drift away.
That's a great way to put it.
Noah believes, with every fiber of his being, that dragging AJ onto a sinking island would be an act of supreme, unforgivable selfishness. He is operating under the belief that quitting while he is ahead is the only moral choice available to him.
He literally uses those exact words. He says to her, if there's one thing this disease has taught me, it's that sometimes it's better to quit while you're ahead.
And so, he leaves.
He tells her to go have a normal life, and he walks out the door, leaving AJ completely devastated, totally confused, and utterly alone.
The fallout is massive.
And that shattering event catapults both of these characters into what we can easily label their wilderness years. Stripped of the relationship, and shortly after, stripped of their television show because Into the Blue is abruptly canceled by the network, both AJ and Noah hurl themselves entirely into their careers.
They need a distraction.
They weaponize their work ethic as a massive coping mechanism.
It is a classic trauma response. I mean, if we look at the psychology of their actions, both of them are using the ultimate public platform's national television for AJ and Hollywood cinema for Noah to hide from a deeply private pain.
Workaholism as an anesthetic.
Exactly. Workaholism becomes their anesthetic.
Yeah.
If you are constantly moving, constantly producing, you don't have to sit still and feel the grief.
AJ just spirals down into this dark, numb well of depression. It's Thanksgiving, and she can't even bear the thought of going back home to Gladstone to face her chaotic family, especially her dad.
So she stays in the city.
She stays alone in her tiny New York apartment. She spends her days listening to her neighbor, a guy named Dave, play the video game Halo through the thin drywall.
Sounds incredibly depressing.
And in this weird, sleep-deprived, nihilistic state, she and Dave decide to film a 30-second parody video for the internet.
As one does.
At the time, there was a popular melodramatic GIF circulating online from Into the Blue of AJ's character dramatically screaming, "No!"
Oh, I miss the early internet days.
So they make a parody called Snow. It's just 30 seconds of AJ and Dave frolicking outside in the winter weather, pretending to snort snow like cocaine, and eventually getting frisky in a mock threesome with a snowman.
It's completely absurd, lowbrow internet humor.
Totally.
But we have to remember the context of the internet in the late 2000s. It was a strange, Wild West era of virality.
Yeah.
By the end of Black Friday, this stupid little video has 1 million views.
Which was huge back then.
By Saturday, it is 3 million. It catches the cultural zeitgeist perfectly. And by Monday morning, AJ finds herself sitting in a very intimidating office at 30 Rockefeller Plaza.
Right across the desk from Danny Chan.
Yes, Danny Chan, one of the notoriously tough head writers at Saturday Night Live.
It is the ultimate bizarre Hollywood break. Danny Chan is sitting there looking at AJ over the rim of her glasses, and she deadpans, "I like snow." It's wholesome, family-friendly.
Which is a hilarious, incredibly dry read of a video featuring a snowman threesome.
Danny asks AJ point blank if she wants to be an on-camera cast member. And AJ, whose heart has been so deeply burned by the vulnerability of acting with Noah, immediately shuts it down.
She's still traumatized.
She says, "I just want to write." She tells Danny she is completely done with being perceived.
And Danny Chan, who is an incredibly sharp, unsentimental veteran of the comedy world, immediately gives AJ a brutal financial reality check.
Danny does not mess around.
No, she doesn't. Danny looks into AJ's background and finds out that AJ wasn't getting any producer credit or any proper residuals for all the extensive sci-fi world building she did on Into the Blue.
Because of Ian Fleming.
Yes, Ian Fleming had completely taken advantage of her. Danny basically calls her an idiot to her face, hands her the business card of a top-tier talent agent, and tells her to get legal representation immediately so she can formally hire her as a mid-season replacement writer.
Talk about a mentor.
It's a moment of tough, unsentimental mentorship that alters the entire trajectory of AJ's professional life.
So AJ lands her absolute dream job at SNL. But let's look at the reality of that dream. The text details her salary. She makes exactly $82,967 a year.
Which sounds decent until you realize it's New York.
Right. Now, that pays her mortgage, but living in New York City on $82K means there is absolute zero glamour. Her day-to-day life is grueling. She's sleeping under her desk, eating stale pizza at 3 a.m.
Not exactly living the high life.
She describes the SNL pitch meetings as being exactly like a brutal game of middle school dodgeball. You are just trying to get a sketch pitched to the guest host without getting completely pinned to the wall and humiliated by the older senior writers.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
Meanwhile, let's look at Noah. His trajectory goes absolute supernova. He becomes a massive A-list movie star.
He's everywhere.
He does a massive blockbuster comedy, an edgy indie film that gets critical acclaim, and he lands the lead in a prestige drama called The Contract. He plays a 1950s Murder, Inc. hitman, and he loses an Oscar-worthy Christian Bale-level amount of weight for the role.
Hence the gaunt look at the beginning.
Yes. And he is dating an HBO starlet who gets photographed walking his dog for the paparazzi. They are living in entirely different economic and social stratospheres.
The contrast the author builds here is stark and highly intentional. Noah has achieved the absolute pinnacle of external global validation.
He has it all.
He has wealth, fame, and critical acclaim, all while quietly carrying this terminal, decaying internal reality. He is a hollow statue.
A hollow statue, wow.
AJ, on the other hand, has achieved prestigious, intellectually grueling, behind-the-scenes success, but emotionally, she is completely frozen in amber. She is surviving, not living.
And then the inevitable collision course is set. The ultimate Hollywood crossover occurs. Noah Drew, the Oscar-nominated movie star, is booked to host Saturday Night Live.
The reunion we've been waiting for.
The scene where they finally see each other again in the SNL pitch meeting is a masterclass in written tension. AJ walks into the room wildly hungover, just trying to survive the day.
As usual.
Noah's already there. He's sitting casually next to Lorne Michaels' empty chair, establishing his dominance in the room. He's wearing a simple black sweater, jeans, and tennis shoes.
Looking effortlessly cool.
He's put the muscle weight back on since filming the Hitman role, and AJ bitterly notes to herself that his biceps look amazing and that no human being should be allowed to be that handsome.
It's just unfair.
The absolute moment she crosses the threshold into the room, the air is just sucked out of the space. They make eye contact across the crowded table, and she feels this faint, undeniable, energetic hum, describing it like hearing an old, familiar song playing through the walls of another room.
The power dynamics in that specific room are incredibly fraught. You have a senior SNL writer named Grady, a guy who thinks he completely runs the comedy room, and he tries to pitch a lazy Into the Blue parody sketch.
Because he wants to capitalize on the meme.
Right. He knows they have 3 former cast members from the show in the room, and he wants to use AJ's viral no gif. It's a cheap shot.
Totally cheap.
But Donnie Chan, the head writer who originally hired AJ, instantly shoots the pitch down. She doesn't even let Grady finish. She just says, it's played out. Move on.
I love Donnie Chan.
Donnie isn't a warm, fuzzy person, but she clearly uses her considerable institutional power in that moment to throw a protective, professional shield around AJ.
And that tiny moment of protection highlights the total jarring disparity in their current situations. Noah walks into Studio 8H as the conquering hero. Everyone is laughing at his jokes. He is the center of gravity.
He's a golden boy.
AJ is an $82K a year staff writer who is literally just trying to survive the week without crying or making eye contact.
It's such a massive gap.
But beneath all that rigid Hollywood hierarchy, beneath the money and the prestige, the emotional truth of the room remains identical to when they were on the sci-fi set. They are both absolutely terrified of the pull they have on each other.
Which brings us to the phenomenon of the blue coats and the time machine of modern fandom. Just as AJ believes she has successfully compartmentalized her life, completely walled off Noah, and buried the trauma of Into the Blue under a mountain of SNL scripts, the ghost of that canceled show resurrects itself.
It refuses to die.
It comes back through the sheer, undeniable economic force of internet fandom.
The fandom simply will not let the show die. AJ's older brother Mike, who is incredibly practical about money, sits her down and points out a hard truth.
Mike is the voice of reason here.
He really is. Yes, Into the Blue was canceled by the network, but it has birthed this rabid, obsessive cult following online. Her former castmates are making an absolute killing doing the fan convention circuit on the weekends.
Conventions can be incredibly lucrative.
AJ severely resists the idea. She tells Mike she cannot imagine anything more psychologically torturous than sitting at a cheap folding table in a depressing convention center, chasing the memory of a dead television show.
And sitting next to Noah.
Right, being forced to sit next to the ghost of the man who broke her heart. But the money is simply undeniable.
We're not talking about pocket change to supplement her SNL salary either. The financial reality is the major driver pushing her out of her comfort zone.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
At her very first convention appearance, she charges for autographs and photos and walks away with $27,000 in cash for a single weekend.
Oh my gosh.
At the second convention, she makes $41,000.
Half her yearly salary in 2 days.
By the time the fandom organizes a massive dedicated BlueCon, she is pulling in $240,000 for 3 days of work.
That is just insane.
It is life-altering generational wealth that forces her to repeatedly, painfully step back into the fictional universe she tried to abandon.
And when she steps into that universe at the Albuquerque Comic Expo, she comes face to face with the beating heart of it all. The Blue Coat Society.
The superfans.
These are the Die-hard obsessive fans. The scene in the book is incredible. AJ is sitting at her little autograph table in the remotest, darkest crevasse of the convention center, feeling like a total Hollywood failure.
Just waiting for the weekend to end.
She's wearing regular jeans and her hair is in a messy bun. Suddenly, she hears a literal stampede. Word has leaked out onto the convention floor that Noah Drew, the A-list movie star, has actually shown up to the convention.
He wasn't even supposed to be there.
The fans absolutely rush the table.
And this is where we are introduced to Otto and Una, the co-chairs of the Blue Coat Society.
They are the best.
We have to look at them not just as characters, but as the physical embodiment of the fandom's passion and their total disregard for traditional social norms. They represent the parasocial relationships that form between audiences and the art they consume.
Otto and Una are amazing. Otto is this towering 6'4", 240-pound, completely bald linebacker of a guy.
A huge dude.
And he is fully cosplaying as Anatar, AJ's female character, wearing these flowing white robes.
That is fantastic.
And standing right beside him is Una, who is half his size, covered in intense facial tattoos, and she is cosplaying as Ro, Noah's male captain character.
So they completely flipped the genders.
They did. They are the authors of the most read Arho, which is the ship name for Anna plus Ro fanfiction on the entire internet, and they are standing in front of AJ and Noah, weeping with genuine joy.
It's so pure.
Otto looks at Noah, who is sitting defensively next to AJ, and Otto says, "So protective, don't you just love her?"
It's a moment of profound comedic irony, but if you look closely, it carries incredible emotional weight. Think about the psychology here.
So, what does this all mean? The irony that strangers understand them better than they do.
These two strangers, dressed in absurd homemade costumes, are acting as a psychological mirror. They are reflecting back to AJ and Noah the exact, undeniable truth that the two of them are desperately expending all their energy trying to deny.
Fandom sees all.
They really do. Fandoms often act as a collective subconscious for a narrative. They see the underlying chemistry, they read the subtext of the stolen glances, and they refuse to let the love story die just because the network pulled the plug.
So how does that collective force change AJ? Fast forward to the Florida SuperCon. There is a massive sea of people in the audience. AJ looks out from the stage at this crowd. The roar of the fans is deafening.
It must be overwhelming.
And she has this profound revelation. She realizes that while her own heart was being methodically broken behind the scenes by Noah's diagnosis and departure, she was actively helping to build a narrative universe that gave real strength, hope, and meaning to thousands of isolated people.
Art creates community.
These fans aren't just anonymous usernames on an internet message board. They are real human beings who drew courage from the love between Anna and Ro.
She recognizes, in that moment on stage, that a fan convention is an incredible act of collective suspension of reality. Everyone in that massive, sweaty convention hall has paid good money, spent hours dressing up, and traveled thousands of miles simply because they wanted a little more time inside a dead universe.
They want to keep it alive.
They are collectively refusing to accept the cancellation. And as AJ processes this realization, she looks over into the dark wings of the stage and sees Noah standing there in the shadows watching her.
And she just nods at him, a silent thank you, because she finally truly understands what he is doing. He isn't just there to collect a paycheck.
No, he doesn't need the money.
He is also desperately trying to suspend reality. He is trying to live for just one weekend at a time in a world where his genetic diagnosis hasn't canceled their future.
It's a temporary reprieve.
But the fandom, through their sheer enthusiasm, strips away all their cynical defenses. By economically forcing AJ and Noah to repeatedly sit next to each other, to look each other, and to answer probing questions about their characters' deep love, the fandom essentially orchestrates a reunion.
A reunion they couldn't orchestrate themselves.
Exactly. Neither AJ nor Noah had the courage or the vocabulary to initiate it themselves in the real world.
Which logically drives us toward the climax of their story. Fire, water, and the refusal to fade to black. The convention circuit has battered down the walls they built around themselves.
They're exposed.
They are inextricably back in each other's orbit, and this gravitational pull leads them to a final, devastating artistic collaboration that forces the ultimate, unavoidable ultimatum.
Noah and AJ decide to return to Gladstone to do a small theater play together. The play is called Fire and Water.
Back to where it all began.
They play two brilliant scientists, simply named FW, who discover a miraculous life-suspending substance called molten ice.
Sci-fi again.
But the tragic catch in the script is that the character F is dying of terminal cancer. It is the most thinly veiled, heavy-handed metaphor imaginable.
It's practically a confession.
Noah is literally using the text of this play as a meta-narrative to officially say goodbye to AJ. He is scripting an ending where the dying scientist stoically leaves his healthy partner behind for her own good.
Look at what he's doing psychologically here. He is trying to control the uncontrollable.
Because he can't control the disease.
He couldn't control his genetics. He couldn't control the fact that he has Huntington's. So he is trying to fiercely control the narrative of their breakup. He wants to stage manage his own exit so that it looks noble, so that it makes narrative sense.
He wants it on his own terms.
He is using the safety of fiction to write the dialogue he wishes he had the courage to say in real life, hoping the play will give him the closure he so desperately craves.
But AJ refuses to play along with his tragedy. And this is where the ghost of Eudora Drew comes back in a massive, beautiful way.
Eudora returns.
Eudora's old acting lesson about the cosmic consciousness echoes in AJ's mind. Eudora taught that callbacks are just other timelines peeping through. Oh, there I was. Here I am again.
That is beautiful.
AJ realizes, standing on that stage, that she does not have to accept the script Noah has written for them. She is a writer, too.
She has agency.
During their final emotional performance, Noah delivers his tragic lines, telling her he has to leave the facility for her own protection. And AJ just breaks the scene.
She goes rogue.
She completely ignores the script. She pulls them into a prequel, reciting lines from the very first scene they ever played together back when they were young. She reaches out and seizes narrative control.
She forces him off script, which is exactly the move he will later use on her during the live SNL broadcast to win her back.
The ultimate callback.
By breaking the scene, she is telling him, I reject your tragic ending entirely. I reject your premise that leaving me is an act of love. And this is where the power dynamic of the entire novel decisively shifts.
She takes her power back.
AJ finally articulates that the real enemy of their relationship isn't Huntington's disease. The disease is a cold biological fact. It is unavoidable. The true enemy is Noah's capacity for uncertainty.
Oh, that's deep.
The true cost of happiness isn't the pain of eventually losing it. It's the paralyzing terror of never knowing exactly when it will end. Noah's desire to leave is driven entirely by his inability to tolerate that terror.
And AJ gets this incredible, grounding piece of wisdom from her sister-in-law, Elle. Remember AJ's brother, Patrick?
The one who was paralyzed.
He was paralyzed in a terrible accident, and Elle is his full-time, dedicated caregiver. They live on a meager disability check. They struggle daily with physical limitations, but they're deeply, profoundly in love.
They've made a life together despite the hardship.
Elle looks at AJ and tells her the hardest truth of all. There's no such thing as a normal life. There's just the time you get and how you spend it. Love is always a risk.
This raises an important question. How do we, as a society, measure the success of a human life or the success of a relationship?
That is the big question.
Is it strictly measured by longevity? Do you only win if you hit the 50-year anniversary mark with a healthy partner? Or is success measured by depth, by intensity, by the sheer blinding quality of the connection, no matter how briefly it burns?
Noah and AJ finally make their definitive choice. The book jumps forward to the year 2015. They are fully together, defying the odds.
They chose the depth.
They run an independent production company called Mooncalf Pictures. We see them literally standing on the set of a high-budget cinematic sequel to Into the Blue.
Full circle.
Noah is directing the film. AJ wrote the screenplay.
Right.
And they are using their remaining time so beautifully, so intentionally. Noah used his massive movie star wealth to completely pay off Patrick and Elle's crushing medical debts.
That's incredible.
AJ and Noah adopted a giant, goofy shepherd mix dog named Mac. And AJ actually quit her highly prestigious, safe job at SNL to be by Noah's side full-time.
Because she realizes that the cultural prestige of the SNL job is entirely meaningless compared to the rapidly depleting currency of time.
Time is all that matters now.
Her time with Noah is finite. She knows the clock is ticking on his cognitive and physical health, and she utterly refuses to spend her precious remaining days sitting in a windowless writer's room dodging sketch pitches.
She wants to be with him.
They consciously trade the illusion of a long, safe, normal life for a guaranteed, brilliant, and eventually painful short one. As Noah says right before calling action on their new movie, no one should stand still too long in time.
They are living actively.
They accept the Huntington's diagnosis not as a reason to end the story, but as the strict parameter for how aggressively they must live their present.
It's breathtaking to read. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Emma Brodie's Into the Blue. What started as a look at a pulpy, campy sci-fi show about a space whale evolved into the crucible for a real-life love story defined by impossible, agonizing choices.
It really takes you on a journey.
It's a stark, beautiful reminder that none of us get to choose the cards we are dealt, whether that's a microscopic genetic mutation like Huntington's or a freak life-altering accident like Patrick's.
You can't control the hand.
But we absolutely always retain the agency to choose who we sit at the table with and exactly how courageously we play the hand.
It strips away the comforting illusion of permanence that most of us walk around with every day. We all pretend we have endless time.
We really do.
Noah's diagnosis simply makes explicit what is implicitly true for every single human being. Time is limited. The only real question is what you choose to do with that terrifying knowledge.
I couldn't agree more. So I want to leave you, the listener, with a final lingering thought to chew on today.
Give it to them.
Think back to the very opening of our deep dive. Think about the tension of that choice. Imagine you were handed a glass hourglass, and you knew for an absolute fact that it contained the exact, unalterable lifespan of your most cherished relationship.
Right.
Would you spend your precious remaining time sitting rigidly in a chair watching the sand slip away in absolute terror of the end? Or would you finally feel free to smash the glass, step outside, and just enjoy the beach?